Have you ever wondered what happens when someone's steadfast determination becomes the driving force for powerful change? The story of Danielle, the woman brave enough to confront injustice at 30,000 feet, will make you feel excitement, regret, and hope. This is a journey of reclaiming justice with strength and resolve. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment with your thoughts after hearing this story. Join us as we uncover the truth on this fateful flight. Danielle boarded the flight with a confident stride and a calm demeanor. From the very first moment, she sensed an unusual atmosphere, as if every gaze briefly lingered on her. Her perfectly fitted navy jacket hugged her strong figure as she made her way directly to her seat in first class. Her footsteps softly echoed on the carpet, a quiet presence radiating unspoken confidence. Yet, deep inside, she felt that something was about to happen. A hidden challenge was waiting. When flight attendant Victoria passed by, Danielle maintained her composed expression, even though she noticed the attendant's cold stare and an inexplicable distance. She knew these subtle cues signified something deeper. While the other first-class passengers cheerfully received their menus, Danielle sat waiting, but the menu never reached her hands. A fleeting sense of disappointment washed over her, yet she kept her breathing steady. She refused to show any emotion or let anyone see the surge of frustration welling up inside. When she finally raised her voice to request a menu, her tone remained calm but couldn't completely hide her determination. In response, Victoria offered a strained, forced smile. "We're almost out of copies. I'll see if I can find one for you." Danielle maintained her serene gaze, revealing neither anger nor outrage. She knew she wasn't one to be easily overlooked, but sometimes you have to wait for the right moment to strike back. A surge of anticipation crept in as Danielle scanned the faces around her. She'd faced such doubtful looks before, those unspoken questions. "Do you really belong here?" But she had learned not to be swept away by negative thoughts. Instead, Danielle focused on a greater purpose, an important meeting at her destination, a chance to set new standards for fairness and ethics in the airline industry. Amid the chaos of her thoughts, she felt a glimmer of hope, a belief that justice isn't just an abstract concept, but something that can be achieved through action. She recalled the times when she fought for justice, facing challenges that seemed insurmountable. This was just another challenge she was ready to face. Leaning back in her seat, determination shone in Danielle's eyes. She was not just fighting for herself, but for everyone who had ever been ignored or belittled. She would not let this pass without change. Action would be taken, justice restored, and the transformation would begin right on this flight. Danielle always sensed the energy of a place from its smallest details. As she made her way to her first-class seat, the cool air of the cabin and the gentle light enveloped her. She took note of every fleeting glance, every forced smile, and the prolonged silence on every face. Everything seemed to signal that something was off. She tried to shake off the heavy thoughts as she sat down in her seat, neatly placing her purse under her feet and fastening her seatbelt. A twinge of regret suddenly crept into Danielle's heart as she recalled everything she had endured in her career. She had faced countless instances of subtle discrimination, small actions that seemed inconsequential yet left deep wounds. Still, she refused to let herself crumble. To her, her work was a passion and a duty, a place where she could truly make a difference. For a brief moment, she looked out the window, watching the clouds drift silently by. That endless expanse reminded her of freedom and limitless possibilities. Deep within, hope ignited, a belief that she could turn this situation into an opportunity to effect change. Suddenly, a flight attendant, Eleanor, approached Danielle, her eyes filled with worry. Danielle immediately sensed it. feeling a deep empathy forming between them. Eleanor leaned in slightly, her voice trembling as she said, "I'm so sorry, ma'am. I want to apologize for the way you were treated." That sincere apology struck a deep chord in Danielle's heart. In that moment, she realized she wasn't alone in this struggle. A connection formed between the two, a warmth spreading like a tiny ray of sunlight in the cold cabin. Danielle nodded gently, returning with a small, understanding smile. "Thank you, Eleanor. Your acknowledgement means more to me than you know." As Eleanor walked away, Danielle felt a stronger surge of hope than ever before. She knew that even the smallest kindness could heal deep wounds. This ordeal wasn't just a challenge, it was also an opportunity to connect, to change, and to inspire. Danielle silently contemplated the upcoming meeting and the new standards she hoped to set for the airline industry. She believed that small steps, like Eleanor's apology, could lead to tremendous change, and it was her love for justice and responsibility that would keep her moving forward on this battle. With newfound resolve, Danielle decided she wouldn't let this flight pass by as just another ordinary experience. Instead, she would turn it into an example of the power of empathy, love, and human connection, so that no one else would have to suffer injustice as she once did. Danielle sat in the quiet cabin, the dim light filtering through the rows of seats. She tried to remain calm, but a flutter of nervousness swirled within her. She had faced countless challenges before, but this time something felt different. Outside the window, the vast, endless blue sky reminded her of limitless possibilities. She refused to let the subtle discrimination she had just endured shake her self-belief. In that moment, a woman with blonde hair, Victoria, approached. Her gaze was icy, and her distant demeanor seemed designed to make Danielle feel out of place. A pang of regret washed over Danielle, but she quickly replaced it with determination. She knew she had every right to be here and to be treated with the same respect as anyone else. No matter what happened, she would not allow anyone to diminish her self-worth. Soon, another set of footsteps echoed. A younger flight attendant, Eleanor, drew near. Danielle sensed empathy in Eleanor's eyes, like a small ray of hope amidst the cold atmosphere. Leaning in, Eleanor whispered, "I'm sorry you had to go through that. I understand this isn't how any passenger should be treated." Surprised and deeply moved by Eleanor's sincerity, Danielle rested her hand on the table, her heart swelling with gratitude. "Thank you, Eleanor. Your acknowledgement means so much to me. This isn't just about me, it's about justice for everyone." In that brief yet profound moment, a genuine connection formed between them. After Eleanor left, Danielle watched her go with renewed hope. She knew that not everyone in the airline industry was indifferent to injustice. People like Eleanor were the very force that would help her continue to fight for change. Then, as the soft cabin light bathed her, a vivid image blossomed in Danielle's mind, an image of her own love and perseverance in her long struggle for justice. She recalled the days when she had bravely stood up for what was right, and she vowed that she wouldn't stop now. In that moment, she realized that her passion for justice and her connection with compassionate souls like Eleanor would be the driving force to carry her further. Her faith in change grew ever stronger. No matter how many challenges lay ahead, Danielle would always hold on to hope, empathy, and a profound love for justice and humanity. Sitting up straight, with eyes alight with determination, she understood that this flight was more than just a physical journey. It was a symbol of her struggle and resilience. This would be a story of transformation, of turning injustice into strength and love to build a fairer world. Danielle sat quietly in her chair, her eyes fixed on the window as she gazed at the vast blue sky, endless as an ocean. A surge of nervous anticipation washed over her at the thought of what lay ahead. The words and actions of Victoria were not only insulting, they symbolized the injustices Danielle had endured throughout her life. She wasn't one to easily break under the weight of petty discrimination, yet the memory of how she'd been treated tightened her heart with regret. In that moment, Jason appeared in her thoughts. Her colleague who had stood by her through countless challenges and had always supported her fight for fairness. Danielle recalled the times they had sat together discussing how to create a better work environment, one where everyone was treated equally. Those memories sparked a glimmer of hope in her, a belief that there would always be people willing to stand up for what was right. Unexpectedly, Eleanor appeared by her side, her eyes full of empathy and sincerity. "I'm truly sorry for what you've been through," Eleanor said softly but firmly. "I know it was wrong, and I want you to know that not everyone on this team agrees with those actions." In that brief yet meaningful moment, a connection formed between them. Danielle felt the sincerity in Eleanor's words, and her heart filled with gratitude. "Thank you, Eleanor. This isn't just about me. It's about what's right and fair. I believe that if more people were like you, the world would be a much better place." After Eleanor left, Danielle watched her go with a mixture of regret and hope. Regret that injustice still existed, but also hope that genuine empathy could be the key to real change. She knew she couldn't fight this battle alone. That change could only come when more people stood for justice and compassion. Then, quite unexpectedly, an elderly passenger sitting nearby turned to Danielle and said in a voice full of understanding, "I've witnessed what's been happening, and I want you to know you're not alone in this fight." His sincere support shone like a bright light in the darkness, strengthening Danielle's resolve. Her passion for justice and for human connection had become a guiding torch for her. No matter how many challenges or wounds lay ahead, Danielle vowed she would never stop fighting, not just for herself, but for everyone who had ever been subjected to discrimination. Sitting up straight, with eyes blazing with determination and courage, she was ready to face what was to come. With love and hope burning in her heart, she believed that ultimately, the power of human connection and relentless perseverance would triumph over all injustice. Danielle walked slowly through the airplane cabin, trying to maintain a calm demeanor, even though a storm of emotions churned inside her. She could feel the fleeting glances and passing looks that quickly shifted away, and she couldn't help but feel a pang of regret knowing that so many people still didn't understand the true meaning of respect and fairness. This sorrow wasn't just for herself. It was for everyone who had ever been judged, deemed unworthy, or considered out of place. The appearance of Jason, a trusted colleague, was like a ray of hope in the darkness. He stood at the far end of the cabin, his eyes filled with empathy and determination. Without a word, Jason offered a gentle nod, silently conveying that she was not alone. That brief moment bolstered Danielle's resolve, sparking hope and reminding her that there were people ready to stand up for what was right. When Victoria, the lead flight attendant, passed by without offering even the smallest sign of service, Danielle felt a mix of surprise and disappointment. She couldn't understand how a simple act like handing out a menu could come to symbolize discrimination. However, Danielle refused to let that frustration overcome her. Instead, she sat up straight, filled with patience, and waited for the right moment. In that tense instant, Eleanor, the younger flight attendant whom Danielle had met earlier, approached with eyes full of concern and remorse. "I'm so sorry for what you've been through," Eleanor whispered, her voice sincere and full of emotion. "I promise I'll do my best to change this." Eleanor's empathy made Danielle feel a deep, connecting love among strangers. They weren't merely isolated individuals. They were pieces of a larger puzzle, building a better society. "Thank you, Eleanor," Danielle replied softly but firmly. We can't change everything at once, but every small action matters. Eleanor smiled gently, her eyes bright with hope. Danielle knew that change wouldn't come instantly, but she also believed that her own actions could be the small spark that ignited strength in people like Eleanor. When the plane landed, Jason stepped forward and handed Danielle a business card. I know this battle isn't easy, he said sincerely, but you're not fighting alone. I'm with you, and we'll do this the right way. A mix of surprise and hope surged within Danielle. She realized that she wasn't just fighting for herself, but for everyone who had ever been dismissed and forgotten. As she looked around the cabin, she felt the invisible connection among the brave souls standing up for justice. I'm ready, Danielle declared, her eyes burning with determination. We won't let anyone suffer like this ever again. Her passion for justice and compassion, and the genuine connections between people who care, had become the wellspring of strength for Danielle. She knew that hope and steadfast resolve would serve as a guiding torch, bringing justice to everyone, no matter the obstacles. Danielle sat quietly in her chair, her eyes drifting over the airplane cabin window, where the endless blue sky stretched out like an ocean. Yet inside, she felt an emptiness filled with regret. She couldn't help but reflect on how everything had unfolded and the injustice she had just endured. Deep down, though, Danielle refused to let sadness and disappointment control her. She chose to remain calm, knowing that the storm within her could only become a source of strength if harnessed at the right moment and in the right way. When her gaze accidentally met Jason's, a spark of hope flickered. He stood there with a resolute demeanor and empathetic eyes. Jason stepped closer and in a deep, warm voice said, Danielle, I want you to know I'm here to support you. We can't let this happen again. Jason's words were like a small flame that ignited hope in Danielle's heart. She understood that in a world full of challenges, there were still courageous people standing up for what's right. His empathy and sense of responsibility gave her even more strength to continue the fight, even though she knew the journey ahead wouldn't be easy. At that moment, Victoria appeared at the far end of the cabin, her expression cold and distant. She walked by as if Danielle's presence was hardly worth noticing. A wave of regret and disappointment washed over Danielle, yet she refused to let it weaken her. She took a deep breath, reminding herself that she wasn't fighting just for herself, but for everyone who had ever been ignored and disdained. Then, in that tense moment, Eleanor, the young flight attendant, approached with concern written all over her face. I'm truly sorry for what you've been through, she whispered, her voice trembling yet sincere. I want you to know that this does not represent all of us. Eleanor's heartfelt apology moved Danielle deeply. She saw in Eleanor's eyes a love for justice and a desire to connect with others. Thank you, Eleanor, Danielle said, her voice gentle yet resolute. Change begins with small actions like these. We can make a difference. Eleanor offered a faint, hopeful smile. The empathy between them felt like an invisible thread binding them together, a reminder that kindness endures even in the toughest moments. Jason then stepped closer and gently placed his hand on Danielle's shoulder. We're going to bring this to light, he declared, his voice filled with determination. You're not alone in this fight. Danielle smiled, a mix of surprise and hope warming her heart. Thank you, Jason. We'll do what's right, not just for me, but for everyone who's ever been treated unfairly. In that moment, a powerful bond was forged, a bond of love for justice and solidarity among courageous souls. Danielle knew that change is never easy, but with steadfast determination and unity, they would create a fairer future for all. Danielle sat up straight, her eyes fixed with determination as she gazed at the glimmer of light beyond the cabin door. The air inside the airplane remained heavy and tense, yet she no longer felt alone. Beside her stood Jason, always a champion of justice and truth, a steadfast ally and a beacon of hope, a living reminder that ultimately justice would prevail. Outside, Victoria approached with a look of mild surprise when she saw that Danielle still maintained her calm and confidence. "It seems like you're waiting for something," Victoria remarked in a cold tone, as if she were in control of everything. But what Victoria didn't realize was the unquenchable fire burning in Danielle's eyes, a flame that would not be easily extinguished. Danielle offered a gentle smile, her inner resolve only growing stronger at the sight of Victoria's dismissive demeanor. At the far end of the aisle, Eleanor, the young flight attendant, turned back and stepped closer to Danielle. "I spoke with Jason," Eleanor said quietly, her voice laced with both concern and determination. "He promised to help us sort this out." Hearing those words, hope began to well up in Danielle's heart. In a world where injustice can make people falter, even the smallest, sincere acts can spark change. "Thank you, Eleanor," Danielle replied, her voice soft yet resolute, filled with empathy and gratitude. "I believe justice will be served and the truth will be exposed." The cabin seemed to hold its breath as Jason appeared. "Danielle, we can begin now," he said in a steady, determined voice. "Management has been informed, and I want you to be the one to stand up and speak the truth. This is your moment, and we stand firmly behind you." Danielle's heart raced in her chest, not with fear, but with the anticipation of facing something monumental. "I'm ready," she declared, her voice strong and clear, forged from past wounds and injustices. Victoria stepped closer once more, her expression challenging. "Do you really think you can change anything, Danielle?" she whispered, her tone icy. Without replying immediately, Danielle met Victoria's gaze with eyes full of empathy and resolve. "I don't just think it, I know it," she said. "For the sake of what's right, for those who have been treated unfairly. This isn't just about me, it's about the change we can create together." Her words hung in the air, and the atmosphere in the cabin seemed to pause. Jason and Eleanor stood by her side, their eyes shining with unwavering support. In that profound moment, a deep connection formed, a bond among brave souls unwilling to accept injustice and ready to stand up for what is right. In that instant, Danielle felt an invisible surge of love, a love for justice, for truth, and for all those who long for change. The surprised look in Victoria's eyes revealed that she had underestimated the power of unity. "I hope you're ready to face the truth," Danielle said softly but firmly, "because we won't stop until justice is served." And as she looked around at Eleanor, Jason, and the other passengers, Danielle realized she was not alone. Hope, love, and genuine connection had created an unbreakable strength, a strength that no one could ever stop. In a quiet moment, Danielle sat alone in the waiting room, the soft light gently illuminating her face. She could feel her heart pounding and a surge of nervous anticipation as she thought about the confrontation that lay ahead. This was the moment she had prepared for her entire life. Not to prove herself, but to protect the truth and seek justice. She knew she wasn't alone. Jason was on the other side of the room, his eyes full of determination and support, and Eleanor, once hesitant, now stood by her side with faith and courage. Danielle recalled every painful moment when she was treated unfairly, the times she felt erased simply because she was different. Those deep feelings of regret weren't failures. They had helped her grow and become the strong woman standing here today. She felt a kinship with all those who had been hurt and silenced, and it made her feel responsible, not just for herself, but for everyone who had ever been ignored. Then Victoria entered the room, her face cold and challenging. Victoria had believed she could control everything, that she could make injustice seem ordinary. But Victoria didn't realize that the power of truth and love always surpasses any act of injustice. "Do you really think you can change anything?" Victoria asked, her voice as cold as ice. Taking a deep breath, Danielle felt her resolve welling up. "I don't claim I can change everything, but I know the truth cannot be hidden. Justice will be served, not just for me, but for everyone who has been treated unfairly." Jason stepped forward, standing beside Danielle, his eyes burning like a beacon of hope. "Danielle, we're here to prove that no one has the right to hurt others without facing consequences. The truth will win." Eleanor moved closer, her voice trembling slightly yet resolute. "I've seen this injustice, and I can't stay silent any longer. I choose to stand for what's right for you, Danielle." In that moment, a profound connection formed between them. A bond forged from love and solidarity. This wasn't just a personal battle. It was a symbol of courage, empathy, and the strong will to turn wrongs into right. They no longer felt isolated, but part of something greater and stronger. Victoria looked surprised, her eyes betraying a hint of uncertainty. "You don't know what you're up against," she said, her tone challenging. Danielle smiled, her eyes shining with conviction. "You've underestimated the power of love and justice. This isn't just my fight. It's the fight of everyone who refuses to accept injustice." The atmosphere in the room grew tense, yet hopeful. This was a turning point, a moment when truth and justice would prevail. Danielle knew the journey ahead might be difficult, but she also knew they wouldn't be alone. They had love, faith, and a deep connection that no one could break. Danielle sat in the corner of the airport waiting room, her eyes quietly fixed on the sky through the glass window. Outside, airplanes lined up along the runway, like giant birds readying for takeoff. Yet in her mind, memories swirled in a chaotic stream, a blend of empathy and regret. She recalled the hurtful looks and words she'd endured, moments when she felt erased, rendered invisible. But today, everything was about to change. Eleanor approached, gently placing her hand on Danielle's shoulder. "We've come so far, Danielle. Don't let fear cloud your determination," she said, her warm, empathetic voice a glimmer of light in the darkness. Danielle felt a powerful connection between them, a bond built on compassion and belief in what is right. Jason stepped in, his face exuding determination. "They must face the consequences. This isn't just about you, Danielle. It's about everyone who can't speak up for themselves." Danielle took a deep breath, feeling nervous excitement coursing through every cell. "I know. We can't allow injustice to continue. We're here to make a change." Victoria appeared at the doorway, her eyes as cold as an oncoming storm. "What do you think you can do? No one cares about your complaints," she remarked. Those words cut like a sharp knife, and for a moment, Danielle's heart tightened. But then she remembered all the times she had stood up, fought, and overcome even greater challenges. "Victoria, you've lived in delusion for far too long. Injustice will never be normal, and today, we're here to end it." Jason moved closer, standing by Danielle as a symbol of hope and strength. "We are the witnesses, and we won't let you suffer alone." Victoria looked momentarily confused before letting out a dismissive laugh. "What can you do? Sometimes this system is stronger than you think." Danielle offered a slight smile, her eyes shining with resolve. "No system is stronger than the truth, and no one can stop change once it begins." At that moment, an announcement rang out. The airline's management had officially decided that discriminatory behavior would be met with proper punishment. Victoria stared at the notice, her face going rigid in disbelief. That unexpected turn made the room feel tense, yet brimming with hope. Eleanor smiled in relief, her eyes alight with joy. "We did it, Danielle. We truly did it." Danielle nodded, her voice deep and resolute. "We're doing this not just for ourselves, but for everyone who's been hurt. This is the beginning of change." Jason looked at her with pride. "You are the one who sparked this. Your love and belief have united all of us." Danielle scanned the room, feeling the love and connection from those around her. It was a victory not only symbolic, but one that would truly change how people treated each other. A brave act that would lay the foundation for a fairer future. Danielle's story is a powerful testament that determination and courage can create significant change despite the barriers of injustice and prejudice. The lesson is clear: we must never remain silent in the face of injustice, no matter how small, because the bold, righteous action of one person can ripple outward to transform an entire system. The empathy and solidarity of those who share a common goal, justice and fairness, are the strength that helps us overcome even the toughest challenges. We learn that only when we stand up and demand justice can we change the way the world treats everyone, leaving behind a legacy of compassion, hope, and unbreakable connection. Thank you for watching. If you found this video interesting or enjoyable, please show your support by giving it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow and reach more amazing viewers like you. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on our future uploads. Your support means the world to us and keeps us motivated to create even better content for you.